you doing?
Welcome back to the Bostic Ranch Homestead vlog. Today we'll share about our first fall on the homestead. On the last episode, we shared about beginning our demolition, moving, and celebrating our wedding weekend with our most cherished friends and family. During our wedding ceremony, we planted a tree that could grow alongside our life and family at our homestead. Now it's time for us to bring our excited newlywed energy back to the homestead and plant this tree in the ground.
End of September in Ohio, we're officially into the fall season. Now's a great time for us to plant this willow tree. After doing some research, I think we're going to try a new way of planting the tree. It's going to get planted somewhere in our field here that's overgrown.
Grace and I love the new location of this willow tree. It's right next to our pond. We're planting this tree with the intention for it to grow for decades to come. So we needed to clear some brush. We started with the weed whip, transitioned into clippers and taking out this autumn olive tree, and then we got the hole dug.
Our hole dug here, we're about to start our experiment. We've planted some trees without this specific irrigation method, but what we got is we got some pea gravel here, we got a PVC tube. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little base of stone at the bottom of the hole. I'm then going to position this pipe out of the ground, and when we go to water the tree the first few weeks, we'll just water the top and do a little bit of water down the pipe here, but eventually we want to switch to only watering down this pipe so that the tree is encouraged to plant its roots more deeply. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to put a nice little layer of fresh soil down here at the bottom. Once again, just using what we got. Not trying to be perfect here, just trying to learn, create progress, put our intention into every effort. You know, we like to study before we take action, but at the end of the day,
best way to learn is to try.
Yep.
We cut away the nursery pot and began to break up the root ball so that the new tree could plant her roots down in the soil. After breaking up the root ball, we backfilled the soil and got the tree watered.
What are you doing?
Weeping Willow number 15. Thanks, Wade Gardens.
Planting this willow tree was a huge win, and we are excited for her to flourish for decades to come. There are plenty of heavy machines that could have cut the install time down on planting this tree. We could have also paid the nursery to install it, but we're balling on a budget and we have DIY'd our way into homesteading. On a future video, we'll share more about our past projects that led us here, but we chose this lifestyle consciously, knowing there are downsides to living rural. But we chose this path to give ourselves and our future family a life connected to nature, oriented around cultivating life, and filled with challenges and learnings along the way. Back inside the house, we continue to stack small project wins. Grace was responsible for removing the wallpaper border at the top of the ceiling in our guest bedroom and the kitchen. She did a great job. Here's what our kitchen looked like completed. While Grace worked on the wallpaper, I was getting our basement ordered and getting the workshop set up. Here's the best before shot I got before building these workbenches in the basement. And in the after, you'll see everything organized. Everything has a spot. It's going to make future projects way easier to manage. We also continued to tear out the floors in the kitchen around the cabinets as we were going to continue to use the kitchen as best we could in its current state while we planned out the bigger renovation like removing the walls behind the scenes. You can see the trash pile next to our white barn outside really starting to grow. We were not sure at this time if we were going to refinish the hardwood floors in the house or if we were going to install new flooring, but we did know that we needed to get rid of these previous decades worth of flooring removed from the house. As I mentioned in the last video, this was layers of flooring finished on top of previous layers of flooring. We counted a total of 5 in some sections and 4 in others. Progress stalled a little bit on the homestead as we had to go on a side quest back to Columbus for us to make some improvements to our Airbnb that we self-manage. There was a leak that led to damage on the floor and the framing, and while handling this more urgent repair, we also installed a couple of new doors and installed a new vent fan in the bathroom to manage moisture. Grace helped out in the evenings, scrubbing our couches, organizing our cleaning room, and helping me get this Airbnb put back together. And after living in the city for a few days, we were definitely ready to get back to the homestead. And while we were living in the house at the homestead, there were still things that were missing as far as modern amenities, one of which was a dishwasher. So the same way that we needed to get our sink replumbed, the old dishwasher was not draining properly, so we needed to get a new dishwasher set up. And I also had to go outside in the freezing cold and steal this super cool cord. This is the power off our old dishwasher, which had some pretty serious drainage issues. Now I'm just wiring together the dishwasher here. Going black to black, white to white, ground to ground. I'm getting this dishwasher hooked up and we're gonna run a test. Ah! That sounds like water. The reason that we're not replacing all this right now is that we're eventually gonna redo our kitchen. That's what we're working forward.
But we need a dishwasher because this has been our solution for a while. The dishwasher was a gift from my family for our wedding.
We just paused it. We're testing out the drain line here.
Whoa!
Got it rigged up in the Dawn dish soap. You already know.
There's more. Whoa!
The dishwasher was running properly and we went ahead and got it installed underneath the countertop. This was a big win for us because for the first 3 months of living at the farm, we hand washed everything. We had a beautiful Saturday morning free and decided that we were going to work outside that day and start to make some progress on all the overgrowth. There is a lot of trees that are grown up next to the foundations of some of the barns. So we got some of these cut and stacked and moved into a pile that will eventually burn. This clip really shows the size of some of these vines that had grown up on the barn. This vine specifically had grown up through this barn, through the slats in the walls, up into the neighboring tree. And getting this out and getting some of these trees cut away from the front of the building really added a lot of value. It took a lot of patience for me to wait to do this for a couple of months and stay on task with what was priority just because it looked so bad, but it was great to get them done. Of course, Grace is helping every step of the way and taking lead on some projects like keeping our trees watered.
Okay, so as you can see, the tree is not doing too hot. It just dropped its leaves really, really fast. So we had some learning from planting this tree. Right when we planted it, it rained for about 10 days straight from one of the hurricanes. We called the garden center in which we bought it from, and they said, you know, you need to have watered it more. So we think it's just really thirsty right now. So we're just giving it water 2 or 3 times a day, a couple gallon buckets, 5-gallon buckets. Another thing we learned is that we planted it a little bit too deep. We'll probably replant it, just bring it up a little bit so that its root ball is above the ground. A lot of good learnings. Hopefully this guy can pull through. As you can tell, there's leaves all over the ground, a little bit brown, but you know, this guy's still healthy, so we've got hope.
That is it for today. We gotta get showered up and we're headed to Justyn's brother's wedding, Josh and Morgan, so we're excited to celebrate them. Day off is spent cutting down some trees, watering some trees, just cleaning up the land.
Near the end of October, fall was in full swing. At this point in time, we were both working full-time during the week, but we are sure to soak in the beautiful sunsets during our daily walk on the land. We also love to drive a couple miles up the road and visit Malabar Farm State Park and the Mount Gee's Lookout, which is a 270-degree view of the farm, Pleasant Hill Lake, and Mohican State Park in the distance. And it's truly one of the most beautiful views in Richland County. Another important fall mission on the farm was getting my hunting blind set up. You can see some great footage of the fields that we've let grow since purchasing the property in the summer. I did get a couple of days in the blind this fall, but I didn't fill my tag. Nonetheless, I learned a lot and had a great time. You're probably wondering what I'm doing on the roof, and in this moment, I'm probably wondering the same thing. We had a fireplace company come out to inspect our wood-burning fireplace and our chimney. They were going to charge us for cleaning the chimney tiles and inspecting the stoves so that we knew everything was in good order entering the winter. A couple young guys came out with all their supplies, and they told me that they thought a tile was cracked because they couldn't get their sweep up the chimney, and prepared me for a large bill, thousands of dollars, to replace the chimney tiles with a metal pipe. After hearing this, I was super inspired to investigate for myself. After a thorough inspection, we found a hornet's nest lodged in the middle of this chimney. So we had to get this thing unclogged.
Got here.
Chimney cleaner.
TM. Registered trademark.
I got geared up head to toe, and my plan was to break the hornet's nest up with the weight of a dumbbell, while being careful to not actually crack the chimney tiles in the process. This nest was probably 15 feet from the top of the chimney and had a decent way to go to get to the bottom of the chimney's clean out.
Oh my goodness.
My initial tool of choice was a 12-pound dumbbell on a string, and we used gravity to our advantage to start pushing on that hornet's nest. The hornets did not appreciate the lack of eviction notice, but they had to go in this case. After tens of hits with no progress using the 12-pound bell, I knew I needed something stronger, so I clubbed up to a 20-pound dumbbell held together by Callie's leash.
One more. Yeah.
After pulling a kettlebell like a lawnmower string for about an hour and a half on the roof, we finally started to see the bottom of the nest at the clean out. Here's Grace taking our grilling tongs and trying to pull out some of these sticks. This thing was loaded.
I wish you could see this thing. It's kind of crazy.
I did climb down off the roof to clean the rest of this clean out by hand, just pulling away all of the mud and sticks and debris that was in the roof. We filled up 2 full grocery bags, and after we got everything out, you can see the dumbbell there at the bottom of the chimney. We got that pulled back up. This was a long project, and it took us late into the evening. There would be no better way for us to celebrate success than to have our first fire of the season.
First fire.
A lot of hard work went into this fire.
We finally got the wood burning stove up and running, and honestly, we were stoked. As the days got shorter and the nights started turning colder, there's nothing better than knowing that we were able to spend our winters gathered around this fire. Come back next episode to learn about Grace's tour of Joel Salatin's Polyface Farms for a Women's Homestead Summit. My friend Adam and I turning 4 sheets of plywood into a functional Murphy bed. And Grace and I experiencing our first snowfall at Bostic Ranch.